How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Nat Automotive channel, and in today's video I'm going to be taking delivery of the torch red C5 Corvette that I won at an insurance auto auction just recently. This video is a little bit unexpected because I was actually expecting to take delivery of this Corvette at the end of this week or even on the weekend. But I was with my wife at IKEA getting some stuff for around the house, and I get a call randomly from some number in Salt Lake City. And it turns out that it was the driver from the tow truck company, or the hauling company, that I'm using to get my car down from Missoula, Montana down to San Diego. And he calls me up and says, "Hey, are you gonna be available today? I'm gonna be in San Diego very soon." He was in Barstow, which is about 2.5 hours away. So I totally was not expecting that because they had quoted me about, like I said, Friday or Saturday delivery, and today is Wednesday. And so I was shocked. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get all ready, get back home and get all set up and get this video going so that I'm all prepared to record everything for when this car gets here. So I am just waiting for the car to get here. He said he'll be here in about 20 minutes, so I am so excited / nervous, you know, hands are shaking type deal. But I'm actually having the car delivered to my in-laws' house because where my place is a very tight driveway for a larger truck, and I don't know if this car is coming on a trailer that's like a gooseneck trailer behind a pickup, or if it's coming on a full-on like 18-wheeler. So I gave him the address to my in-laws' place, and they're gonna be dropping it off here because the streets are much more accessible to a larger truck. This timing actually worked out really well. It couldn't have been like better timing for the car to get here earlier. I was actually in Michigan visiting some family this past weekend, and I just got back with my wife last night, and of course I get this call this morning. So it was really important for me to be here because I wanted to be here when the car gets here. So I'm glad that it wasn't like yesterday that the car was going to be coming here because I was on a plane. So it all worked out perfectly. So as soon as the car, or I get the text from the driver that he's here, I will hand the camera off to my wife, and she's going to record everything as I take delivery of it. I actually got the title from FedEx last night in the mail, so that's all good. So I have the title, got all the paperwork ready to go so that when it gets here it can be a smooth exchange and I can show you guys around the car. Down here quick.
We're trying to get it out of California as fast as I can.
Okay, yeah. I know, we don't always have the best traffic here, so. Oh my goodness.
Every week I got more stuff.
Okay. This is crazy. This is my car. A little damaged, but you know, another man's trash is another man's treasure. You ever think you'd be so excited about a car with a giant, you know, smush in the front?
I didn't even notice it. I'm just looking at the whole body and red.
You can leave these here too if you want them.
You can pick them up at San Diego ports.
Okay.
Not too far away.
That's just 10 minutes off the street.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Sure. Sure.
brake. You should be good now. Yeah, the ramp. You want to have your wife out with you?
Yeah, I can. Do you want me to help?
Just be ready to be on the brakes if when it starts going.
It's a free camera person, huh?
Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, that's all munched right there.
So it looks like it was from a...
I don't know, to be honest. Oh wait. I gotta make sure I get the keys. I think the keys are around the steering wheel. Yeah. Battery's dead. Crazy. I can't believe I just bought this thing off the internet. Yeah, you can see that here's all the fiberglass right here. But this is actually an aftermarket hood, I think. Or maybe not. Oh yeah, this is all, this whole hood needs to be replaced. Step one will be to tear down the front end to see, to uncover anything. So you got the headlight dangling right here. Make sure all these plastic pieces cost a pretty penny to replace. So it looks like impact right here. No, I don't know. I don't think it was a deer because this looks like a car, like paint from another car. Alrighty guys, so here she is in all her glory. I had to take a minute to kind of just soak it all in, the fact that I own this car. It's a little bit more rough around their edges than I was expecting, but of course I never saw this car in person before I got it, and excuse any wind noise in the video. Right now we're getting a lot of Santa Ana winds gusting through here, but like I was saying, never saw this car in person, so it's hard to fully grasp like what the nature of the car is as far as condition, but for sure the car, I mean obviously front end impact, and it was right about here, and based on some of the scraping right here, it looks like the car maybe hit a white car of some kind, and went underneath it and kind of just munched that. But then also what I was looking, the frame rail right here looks pretty straight, but the crash bar, which is hidden underneath the bumper here, which they secured with all these like metal zip ties, the crash bar is a little bit crunched, so that will have to get straightened out and or replaced. But yeah, so the car, it's an 01 C5 Corvette in torch red. There are, quite a few like scratches around here and there. The car is very muddy, It was up in Montana, Missoula, Montana. So it was in a dirt lot, probably, you know, rain and all this mud that it was going through when they were towing it out there and whatnot. These taillight covers will go as soon as I get this car situated. But I mean, the car looks really good overall. It definitely had some like interior mods done to it, and I'm gonna do a separate video aside from this one, kind of just assessing the car in general, because I'm kind of feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now on all this. But once I get my head wrapped around all this, I'll go over the whole car before I do anything to it, kind of just show you all the areas that are good and or bad. But like I was saying, the interior has definitely been modified. I don't think, I'm pretty well versed in Corvettes, but I don't think this like red black leather was an option from the factory. Correct me if I'm wrong if you know C5s really well. That center console is a part that you can get from, I think, a company called West Coast Corvette. Same deal with this like piping around the dial here for the ride control. That is a cheap AutoZone shifter, which comes right off because the threads are boogered up on the shift knob. So that'll be fun. And it's the red leather on the steering wheel, that's aftermarket for sure. Pretty sure this handle right here, this is like, it Velcros on, I think. And then the door trim, that was all aftermarket as well. But to me, this kind of just screams, you know, kind of 50, 60-year-old dude who modified this. And if you get offended by that, I apologize. But that's just kind of the general trend I noticed based on how some of these cars are modified to, you know, like this with all this chrome and the matching red interior. Some people might find it tacky. I don't mind the seats and everything, but when you start adding in all this stuff, it kind of just makes it look a little bit tacky. But I mean, I'm just shocked right now that this car is mine. It's crazy. Now while I figure out how to get this car from my in-laws house to my house, I'm gonna have to arrange some towing. So for the meantime, it's gonna chill here. So I got to get it kind of parked up in the corner over here, so it's a little bit out of the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Alrighty guys, I apologize if this video is all over the place. I'm just trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing right now. So, as you can see, took the hood off the car. Unfortunately, the part where the hood mounts to the latches on there, the mounts, broke off. So that was part of the fiberglass piece. You can see this is all fiberglass right here. That broke off. So it was really hard to open and close the hood. It was, when you had it open, it was fine, but when you tried to close it, it would not close correctly. So I just took it off in the meantime. So I'm trying to diagnose what to do to get it started right now. So the battery is actually completely dead. So it comes with this Napa Legend battery. It probably is the original battery, I wouldn't be surprised. So what I'm trying to do right now is just get some power to the car. So funny thing was, I got my jumper cables, and this is a boat battery that we use for the boat there to go fishing. So I'm just trying to get some power to the car. But funny thing is, when you attach power, the motor that makes the headlight go up and down starts freaking out. So watch it over there. So I'm going to attach power. See, that guy starts freaking out. Oh, okay, so maybe it just adjusted itself. Maybe it was trying to get in the right position or something. So let's see what we got as far as power in the car now. Okay, so we got ding-in lights. Let's go and flip on power 1. Okay, so we got lights on the dash. Hey, it comes with a full tank of gas. That's what I'm talking about. Alrighty. And we got our blower motor coming on. Apparently it's 1 o'clock. Well, radio works. Let's see. Okay, well the blower motor works. It's blowing all the dust out. This thing is mighty dusty right now. I think the screen here that controls the electronic air conditioning is busted though. So that's one thing. Let's see if the tilting and telescoping wheel works. Or the telescoping. Oh. Yeah, so you just use a lever to adjust the height. So the only thing that worries me, so the battery, that's probably just the battery that's attached. The only thing that worries me about the car right now, I'm gonna flip this guy off, is that the engine has little oil in it. It's pretty low. So you can see here, let's pull the dipstick out. The engine oil is pretty dang low. There's still a little bit in there. So before I try and crank this thing over, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to go to the auto parts store and I'm going to get some oil to top this guy off. Alright, so we got the power to the car and actually hit the trunk pop. So that this guy is an electronic popper, what I found out. So get that up. So this thing all looks super nice. The carpet back here is immaculate. You know what's funny is these are the original floor mats that you got when you bought this car new. So you can see this is probably the driver one. That was used up nicely, but the passenger one still in the original wrapper there. And let's see what else we got in here. Just some storage, different storage compartments. Let's see. Don't think this thing comes with a spare because these came stock with the run flat tires. Oh yeah, there's the 12 disc CD changer. Trying to see if I can uncover. Ooh, we found some. Oh, it's empty. The glass cleaner. So hopefully that means that someone took good care of this car. And like I said earlier, I'm going to do a once over of this whole car. Kind of once I get it situated, I need to get it from this spot to the garage. And once I do that, I'll be washing it, cleaning it up, and kind of just going over, you know, what came with the car and what my initial impressions are after getting the car. So you can see the tonneau cover that comes with this thing is still all attached, but I mean the rear of this car is pretty much immaculate, minus the scratches and stuff in the mud and these awful chrome covered taillight things, but those come off with screws. I mean the back looks really good. I'm pretty happy with the back. The front is a different story. But it will all come together. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna run to the AutoZone or the auto parts store and just try and get this thing filled up with a little more oil, and that would make me feel better when I start cranking over the engine trying to get it started. Alright guys, so here's an update. Hood is sitting in the garage here. I took it completely off, as you guys saw before. So I got the car up on the jack and jack stand. So my first thing that I was trying to do was figure out why the car has low oil. I took the dipstick out, as you saw, barely any oil. And then when the car was powered on, actually, the low oil sensor was coming on. So clearly the car is low in oil. And so first thing I want to do was put some oil in and see if any leaked out, because I did notice the pan down here is a little wet. I don't know if you guys could see that or not. So I went to AutoZone or O'Reilly's and got some Mobil 1 5W30, which is what this car recommends, you know, to put in these LS ones. So I put a little oil in, and immediately after about maybe like, you know, half cup of oil, started draining out right there, a wet spot on the ground, and you can see my cardboard mist after it started coming down. But what I noticed was that actually there's a little bit of a puncture in the bottom of the oil pan. So I'm gonna crawl down here and show you guys exactly what I was talking about. Actually, I'm gonna grab a flashlight first. All right, so let me crawl underneath here. So as you can see right there, right where the drain plug is, there's a small hole punctured in the bottom of this bat wing oil pan, is what they call it. So right there, it's about a thumb-sized hole. And get my thumb up there. literally the exact size of my thumb, right there, just punctured up into the bottom of the oil pan. So I don't know what could have happened here. The car could have sat on something when they were lifting it up and down on those forklifts, but literally everywhere else underneath the bottom of the car looks fine. There doesn't seem to be any sort of damage to any other areas of the car underneath, like as far as undercarriage damage, but it's just right here. This is right where the oil leaked out of. So basically what I gotta do is just order one of these batwing oil pans, the bottom part, and replace it, and that should be good to go, because that's where the oil was leaking out from. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of extra oil down there just to make sure that it's leaking right out of there and not any other areas. I'm pretty sure that's right where it's out of. That's where I saw it dripping from. Oh darn it. You can see there, right there. But you know, all other areas, this is the front cradle right here, a cross member. The leaf spring is right there, the black piece. All of that, the surrounding areas are nice and clean. It's just that one area got a little bit buggered up. So what I'm gonna do is, like I said, order the oil pan. The filter is right here too. There's the oil filter. So I was gonna do an oil change on this thing anyways. So, you know, just kind of doing it sooner rather than later. So I'll just order the bottom to this batwing oil pan. It just looks like it's a series of hex nuts, and we'll take this guy off and replace it. But I'm gonna save that for another video because I gotta get this thing squared away and out of the street here. All right, so I'm gonna do just to show you guys real quick, and I'm not gonna waste a ton of oil because I know it's gonna come right back out, but pour a little oil in, and then you'll see immediately, not immediately, but soon after, and it might not actually because the car is tilted, so the oil might just drain sideways. Yeah, I might need to put in more, or the car might need to be level because right now the passenger side is lifted up, so it's probably just pooling on that other side there. But yeah, it would come out right there. So, found the culprit. It's a bummer that this thing didn't start up and drive, you know, upon arrival, because that's what it was listed as. So before I lose too much daylight, because I got to get this car, I'm going to get out of the street and actually into the driveway. I'm going to move the old Dodge over here. But you can see, okay, I also took off the bumper so I could get the jack underneath. You can see impact was right here. So clearly I probably hit a car. I don't think, or maybe a deer, I don't know. I didn't see any like blood or organic material. Like I said on the bumper earlier, it looked like white paint. So here's what it looks like, you know, without the bumper on it. The frame rail itself, so the piece that goes along the length of the car, that looks pretty straight. It's just this horizontal cross member or crash bar that is toast. So that'll have to get replaced. I think I can get those on eBay and stuff and for pretty cheap. But so the car, you know, other than that, pretty happy with it. A little bummed it was not a run and drive car because, like I said, it was listed as that. So here's the form from IAI. You can see R&D was circled. So we're gonna have to, that'll be the first project, is getting the new oil pan for this thing, and then you know, starting it up and seeing what happens. I'm hoping that, you know, they didn't try and start it up a bunch of times before this this little hole in the oil pan was there. It might have happened, you know, like I said, when they were picking it up and dropping it down, might have been a little rock underneath or something, just barely. You know, those oil pans are just cast aluminum, I'm pretty sure, so they're pretty fragile to like pieces hitting them. So it could have just been they picked it up and set it down on a little bit bigger of a rock or something underneath. So it could have been after the auction, or after this car was listed, you know, that this happened while they were moving it and whatnot. But oh yeah, I locked it. So, but other than that, I mean, pretty happy with the car. It's definitely, you know, it's rough, but hey, for $5,200 plus shipping to get it down here, you know, not bad at all. So this is going to be a fun part to the channel, whole new build. I mean, I am so ready to get this thing started and driving. I'm probably going to enjoy it as a Corvette for a little while, just kind of, you know, spend some time with it as a normal C5 before this thing starts getting torn down. You know, it was nice. I was a little worried because I was like, you know, I hope I didn't buy too nice of a car and then I'd feel guilty tearing this thing down. But, you know, you can see that there's some, you know, that's a paint chip there. This is some sort of scuff here. So, you know, it definitely has its fair share of blemishes, by, you know, no doubt about it. But it's not a car that's perfect, but it's not a car that was like too far gone for this project to be undoable. And you know, it's actually funny that I look at it. I think that since the main impact was right here, it helped to kind of shield this frame rail from some damage. Because if it was any more farther to the right, it actually would have hit this and probably bent this. But it hit it right here. You can see it actually cracked the metal there. So that's all steel. So it kind of maybe turned out good that it was a little bit farther to the left than anything. So I think actually what happened was probably the impact came this way and then went up and hit that headlight, and the headlight might have been up and just torn that whole thing apart, and the hood. So yeah, here she is, the next part to the channel, already taken apart in the first video it got here, diagnosing what's going on. So hopefully in the next video we can get that oil pan back on and replaced and get this thing started. But I'm definitely going to do a video in the you know, after that one, to go over everything about this car, all the things that came with it, all the little, you know, I kind of went over it a little bit in detail, but I'm going to really nitpick this car and like try and investigate who was the owner before this, like what type of person was the owner before this, how well did they take care of it, and yada yada yada, and like just be really nitpicky, because I think it's kind of cool to do this investigative work to you know, figure stuff out like this with these auction cars. So that's gonna do it. I'm stoked to finally have this thing in my hands, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am so stoked to get this car and get it in my possession finally, and get it off that truck and start wrenching on it. Already wrenching on it day one and figuring out what's wrong with it. You know, that's the only downside with these auction cars, is sometimes you get some surprises. Luckily, I don't think this one will be as bad. If you remember my video from before with that blue Corvette, the whole oil pan was like ripped off. This is just a little puncture, so not as bad. So we'll get that taken care of in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and tuning into this new content on the channel for a new chapter of the Nat Automotive YouTube channel. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them or respond to them for you guys. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you in the next one.